I really wanted to get involved in the technology enabled care programme because it really is now and it is the future. And what we're about in terms of housing is about helping people to stay in their own homes, and technology enabled care really offers a huge number of options of how we can do that so that people can live well and safely at home. The project I've been involved in the tech is a bit unusual in that it is across 5 different sites in Scotland, and it's linked to a programme called Adapting for Change, which has a focus on adaptations and how do we do that better for people to support them to stay at home. The 5 sites are Aberdeen, Lochaber, Falkirk, Fife and Borders. They're all doing something slightly different and testing slightly different aspects of technology-enabled care. But the key theme that's running through them all is about how do we mainstream this so that when you're talking to somebody, it's not about adaptations or about some other separate issue. It's about what are all the things that would help you to stay at home well, safe and confident. So it's about that technology conversation being part of all these other conversations. So each of the sites are doing something slightly different. I mean, for example, in Aberdeen, they've been doing a lot of work about how do we get people comfortable around technology as part of getting out of hospital and going home and being comfortable at home. In Lochaber, they've developed a whole new package which is called Be at Home. That's going to include technology, but it's also about housing options, it's also about adaptations, it's about a whole host of things for them. In Fife, they're looking specifically at how do we make technology part of how you manage your illness, really. And that's really with a focus on dementia. So it's about how can we help you through technology to manage yourself for longer at home if you've been diagnosed with dementia. In the other areas, they're looking at making sure that's part of the assessment around adaptations or anything else. Also looking at how do we actually raise awareness around technology-enabled care. So like in Fife, they're looking to set up a kind of come and try shop for people, which will not just cover technology, but will include the different kinds of technology from low tech to high tech that you could have in your home that would make life easier for you and for your family and carers. In terms of the tech programme, I think some of the best things have been from a personal point of view, actually working across different areas of Scotland. I think meeting a lot of people who are really enthusiastic and want to see technology being used as a real option for people, because we're sitting right now with, I suppose, a group of older people who have less familiarity with technology, tend to be a bit harder to reach. I mean, like, I know my auntie who is 80 now, she just says, no, I couldn't possibly do anything like that. No, absolutely. Whereas I know she probably could do a lot of things, but it is about how do you move people to that kind of position. So I think that's some of the challenges around the current group of older people. And that is starting to change, but people who will be becoming old now are going to be in a very different position. So some of I think the exciting things is about preparing for the future and making sure that we're developing the skills, the options, the technology to offer people as they begin to get older. And really before they're in a crisis situation, because some of this should be much more upstream support rather than simply when, you find yourself in a crisis. I suppose for me, my background is housing. Housing's for the long term. I mean, there's been huge advances in building techniques, all sorts of things, as there has been in technology. but we've been running a bit behind in terms of the technology and how we use that in our homes. Not just, I think, to look after our homes and to look at for people to be able to support them to stay well and confident in their homes for longer. So I think that that's some of the things that are really quite important to people. They want to stay at home. So what can we do to make sure that that goal that they have can be realised? And whether it's from simple things like communication or being able to press a button and see what time the next bus is or when the shops are shutting or whatever, all of that is so important in making people feel comfortable and making them still feel part of the community that they live in. I think often for housing people they think this isn't about us. So I guess I have sort of reflected on some of that as I've been working on the tech programme, and I suppose what I think would be the thing that I would say to them is that if you have happy tenants, it makes your job easier. If technology, which it can support people to live well, confident, safely at home, then that will make your life easier. So even just from a self-interested point of view, there's huge reasons why you should be looking at it. It's also going to help you to protect your asset. A number of the devices that can be put in can be flood detectors, fire detectors, and so on. And we all know the huge cost to landlords if there is a fire or if there is a flood, to put it right, and the impact that has. Most people who work in housing, particularly the front line, really get to know their customers. And I think for them it really is about having more things that they can offer their customer that will help them to stay at home safely and comfortably for as long as possible. So I think there's a whole range of reasons that I would be saying to people, if you don't think it's about you, sorry, actually it is. I think the programme has got off to quite a good start, the tech programme. I think it's good it's going on for another couple of years, but I think what the future in terms of technology enabled care is that it just becomes a standard part of whether it's a housing offer, whether it's a care offer. I mean, there was a video done of a woman and her husband. Her husband had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. They were living at home, they had a lovely flat, wanted to stay there, but they didn't have a life. Technology transformed that life for them, that they actually had a life. That's what all this is about. If this can't make people feel I've got a bit of my life back and I've got a bit of control back, then we should just throw it out. But I think all the evidence shows that technology enabled care really is the way forward and is one real surefire way of supporting people to be able to stay at home confidently and well.